Hello everybody, welcome to our second webinar for the ICG. It's Arthur Fletcher, by the way, speaking. Twitter Basics. This was in response to the demand given when we did the previous webinar. We had a lot of people saying we'd like to do something on Twitter. And taking it from a basic level, and we have two excellent speakers who we've managed to cajole into helping us out with this. Paul Hutchings from Kindle Research and Alison Starr. So what's the format for the session? We've got Paul's going to start off, and he's going to talk to us about how you set up a Twitter account, really starting from square one. And then Alison's going to continue and talk about how to use Twitter. Who do you tweet to, and what do you tweet about? So we're going to have something interesting going there. Then we're going to have a question and answers session. Okay, so I'm now going to see if Paul's around.
Yeah, thanks very much, Arthur. Yeah, hello everyone. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. I'm going to be talking about setting up an account, so some general stuff about Twitter. To think about whether to talk about, why you might want to go, or the benefits and all that sort of thing. But kind of assuming that that's something a little bit different. You might have looked into it already, and what we're going to try and do is just concentrate on the basics of getting on Twitter, and Alison's going to then talk about the kinds of things that you might want to say. I see that my
Paul, I think you now have. I think you now have control.
Great.
If you want to, why don't you try advancing your first chart just to make sure that everything's working properly?
So it should be.
That hasn't worked, but
no.
Okay, try it again. Try it again. Hey, okay. I'm going to mute my microphone. So.
Great. All right, thanks a lot, Arthur. So I'm going to talk for about 20 minutes, and just going to run through some basics of Twitter and how to get onto it. So I thought in traditional style, we'll start off with a definition. Here's a definition from dictionary.com. So Twitter tweeting does appear there in digital technology, the fifth one, but I guess for a lot of people it is definition 2 there, talking lightly and rapidly, especially of trivial matters. Although for others, the more enthusiastic, it is trembling with excitement to be in a flutter. Twitter hasn't been around very long, but it has changed in the last sort of 5 or 6 years. Here's a neat description from the early days. In the status update box, the question that's where it said, you put in your tweet. The question was, what are you doing? And then it's described as a service for friends, family, and co-workers. And this sort of description of how Twitter or what Twitter is has changed now. Instead of the "what are you doing" question, it says what's happening. There's a slight change in emphasis there in terms of you personally as opposed to the world more generally, and they used to describe it as friends and co-workers. It seems to me, although they don't say this explicitly anymore, that it's really a service for anyone with something interesting, useful, or entertaining in their opinion to say to the world. The official view now is that Twitter is the best way to discover what's new in your world. So it's changed, it's a bit more general. The other thing about Twitter is, in its most basic form, is that here's my page on twitter.com, and so here's my account. This will be familiar to any of you who have a Twitter account already. There's the what's happening question in the top there, and so as I've typed in there, I write anything, and it's a limit of 140 characters. In that box I click tweet, which is just below there, and it will then appear in what they call the Twitter stream, have everyone who's following me. So the tweet is that button underneath, and you can see there's a 0 by it. That's because I've got exactly 140 characters in that box. It lets me know that I've used up all my characters, and any more than that won't go out in a single tweet. I mean, other things of interest, just the very basics of Twitter before we look at some of some of the other detail, is that this other red box, it shows how many people are following me. So I've got just over 1,200 followers, and I'm following nearly 1,300 people. And if I click on those, I can see, or anyone else can actually see, who I'm following and who's following me. And then I mentioned in the box there the Twitter stream. Well, just beneath there is the Twitter stream, so you can see that MRX blogs, Petite is someone that I'm following, and there's her tweet. Beneath there's my own tweet, because I've just replied to Clive Andrews. I'm having a conversation about something, and then underneath Tanya Goodin, who is also someone that I'm following. So my Twitter stream shows all those people that I'm following, just those people that I'm following, what they're saying. And equally, anything that I say will appear in their Twitter stream if they're following me. So it's all about who's following who. And there's an awful lot of people on there. They claim that there's 200 million registered Twitter users. It's estimated that about half of those, about 100 million, are regular users, and the vast majority of those are actually looking and updating almost every day, and tweeting an awful lot. As with so much of this online conversation, the tweets tend to be dominated by a reasonably small percentage, but still, there's 1 billion new tweets posted every week, which is a phenomenal amount and something that has gone up exponentially over the last 3 years or so. So what I did, the other thing I guess that characterises Twitter is that it's what they call an open platform. And what that means is that they've got something that they call an API, an application programming interface, but API is basically an instruction manual for other software to be able to understand how it works and to use what's going on in Twitter in their own application. And so here's a little picture from a website called TwitDom, and TwitDom has a directory of Twitter applications, and there's about, as you can see, there's just over 2,000 on the website. So there's about 2,000 applications that kind of bolt into Twitter and use the information that's happening in Twitter to produce other services. And so there's some business tools and apps that I've highlighted here. There's all kinds of stuff, and the kinds of things that you could do, for example, is that there's tools that enable you to find people like you, to track your followers and following, to see what they're doing, what they're saying. You can track yourself in terms of when you're tweeting, how often, what kinds of things, who with. You can get Twitter on your website, Twitter on all kinds of different places. So whatever you're tweeting, whatever other people are tweeting, can appear on other different websites. You can find the latest trends, what people are talking about. You can add images and video. You can, rather than using Twitter on a website, you can use it on something on your desktop. So lots and lots of tools that all use the information within Twitter for other and different applications, things that you might find helpful or useful. Before I go on to take you through setting up a Twitter account and following people, about what you want to use Twitter for, and here are sort of 4 of the main reasons why people use Twitter. It seems to me is news is a very popular one, and here's a list, or the beginning of a list. There's more of different Guardian Twitter accounts, and you can see that there's the Guardian, there's the News Generally, there's ICG, book, media, and so you can subscribe to each one of these services, and all of the news services will have Twitter accounts, Twitter feeds pumping out their information, normally with a sort of comment, a headline, and then a link to the full article. And there's a lot of journalists on the news services as well. The links to interesting comment and content. Are you interested in finding out about what other opinion and blogs in commentary? And here's a list that I came across of the top market research blogs by the number of visitors. Interested to see that number 4, Tom H.C. Anderson, he's only an individual, gets 2,000 monthly visits. Just talking about market research. Excellent. So typically bloggers will write something and then we'll have a link back to their main content. Do you want to promote yourself? And are you going to be tweeting something and trying to drive people towards something that promotes some aspect of yourself or your business? And then finally, do you just want to connect? Are you interested in just having conversations with people like you, or friends and family, business colleagues? Because one of the reasons that you might want to think about that is in your username and in how you choose to describe yourself on Twitter. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take you through a few slides which show how to create a Twitter account. And what was interesting was, as I did this, I discovered that Twitter are rolling out a new design, and so anyone who creates a new Twitter account gets the new design, and those of us who already have a Twitter account will be getting this new design over the next couple of months. But here's a first glimpse at a design that came out only about a month ago, and which everybody will have over the next couple of months. So you go to twitter.com. If you don't have a user account, this is what you'll get presented with. You either sign in or you put in your name and it says join today. Very simple. So I'm joining as Paul Incognito. I put in an email address and a user and a password. Then it takes me through to this, to choose a username. So I've said my name is Paul Incognito, so I want to use a username which is Paul Incognito, all one word. But unfortunately that username's already taken, and it does suggest some other ones for me there as well. When it comes to your username, if you haven't got one already, I think you need to think about: do you want to be tweeting as an individual, as a business, or as someone anonymous, or maybe as something about yourself that you're trying to promote or say about you? I imagine that as independent consultants, we probably want to have something that is similar to your name. I set mine up a little while ago and called myself Kindle Research because it was just, I was trying to promote Kindle Research. I guess, I've got a lot invested in that now. To do it again, I would try and get Paul Hutchings, because Twitter is quite a personal service, and it's for me that it's unless you're tweeting as an organisation, you might individual and just give it that that personal touch. But I think there's arguments on both sides. So I put in Incognito Paul, just change it round, and it tells me that username is available. So I click on create my account, and I'm up and running. Now once I've created an account, what it will do is it will start taking me through some easy steps to get me connected to other people. So it will suggest some people to follow, and then it's got this tool here where it will integrate with other email services like Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail, AOL, and if you click on search contacts there, and I've clicked Gmail because I have a Google account, and in my Google account I have all my contacts. If I grant access to Twitter, then it will search all of Google email addresses. It will then search what email addresses Twitter holds, and then it will suggest all of those people on Twitter who have the same email address that I have. And so in that way, it's quite a quick way of following all of those people that you already have email addresses for, who are probably your business colleagues, friends and family. I won't go into how you do get your emails onto Google or Yahoo, but it is quite a straightforward process. So let's say that I've done that, and then I get taken through to this new design on twitter.com. So this is twitter.com, and it's got 3 buttons in the menu at the top there. We've got Home, we've got Connect, and we've got Discover. So Discover is about finding people to follow, and I've clicked on Discover, and then there's an opportunity here to, in the right hand side, you can see Browse Categories, and so I've typed in market research, and it could be anything, whatever you're into, customer satisfaction, knitting, motorcycles, and you click that in, search Twitter, and then it will find tweeters, people who have a similar interest, and typically they will have described it in their profile in some way, but it's a bit smarter than that. It will give you a list of those people, and then you see where there's this little blue tab that says Following. It says Following because I've gone through and I've just clicked on the list, the sort of first 50 or so. And then once having clicked on them, I'm then following them, which means that every time they tweet something, it appears in my Twitter stream. Another really useful function is the who to follow thing. So that was putting in a category that I'm interested in, but it will also suggest people that I might want to follow. And we've got some different people there, but what's really weird about this is I set this up a couple of days ago. I put in an email address that I've never used with Twitter before, and in fact I rarely use. I've connected to 50 market research people, and then the 4th person along here is my girlfriend. She's not a market researcher, she's a barrister. I have absolutely no idea how it suggested that I follow Sarah, but there it is. It's a bit weird, but I guess there's some sort of smart stuff going on in the background that enables that. Anyway, back to the home page. The other thing, having followed people, the other thing you want to try and do is to do something with your profile. So at the moment, it's got my name because I've told it that I'm Paul Incognito. But that's the only thing it's got about me, and it's got this we call an egg. That green square with an egg in the middle is where an image would go if I uploaded one. So that's the first thing I want to do. So I want to put in an image there, and also want to say a little bit about myself. So what I've done is I've clicked on Edit My Profile, and then it's enabled me to upload a photo, which I have done there, and that's me hiding behind a Peace Lily. I've described myself, so this is what I put in. I've said I'm an undercover researcher offering high-value consultancy, and then I put in a web link. So you've got a limited amount of space to put in a description of yourself. I think it needs to be concise. People put in all kinds of things. I think even the serious business people give it a bit of a personal touch, and I wouldn't be too dry about it unless you really want to be business. And it comes back to that thing about what do you want to use with Twitter? Do you want to promote yourself? In which case, make it a clear business description. Do you want to connect with people? Make it something a little bit more friendly. Are you interested in news? Well, if you're interested in news, you're not really, you're going to be following more than communicating with other people, so it's less important. Now, with the web link underneath that, it says that I'm in the United Kingdom because I've told it that I'm in the United Kingdom. I could be more specific than that. In fact, there's an option to say exactly where you are, but I've kept it countrywide. And then I put in a web link here, and I put in just a link in Wikipedia. But the link that you want to put there, it's likely to be the homepage of your website, I imagine. But it's the website that you are most likely to want to drop towards. And Twitter, rather than it act as your web page, as a vehicle for driving traffic to something that you're much more interested in people reading. So it could be the homepage of your website. It could be the profile page that you have on the ICG website, in the directory with your details there. It could be, your main product. It could be, something you're trying to showcase, and there's no reason why you shouldn't change that. And incidentally, if this, if someone that link will appear if anyone ever clicks on your profile, and this is what they'll see. And so they'll see, you a good photo of you, a link to your website, a description, and on the right-hand side there, this is what I've been tweeting. So these are the first couple of tweets that I've tweeted under this profile. It says, how many people I'm following and how many people are following me. I mean, on the people who are following me, all I did was I followed these people, and then they didn't follow me back immediately, but these 3 people did, and I don't know why, but it could be the fine people. I would suggest that Marilyn Lolan maybe isn't so interested in my market research, but the other 2 do seem to be. And as you can see there, we've got their name, their Twitter name, which is the @ symbol before and then afterwards, and then their description of who they are. And I'm getting notified that these people are now following me. It says they're followers. You can set up Twitter so that it can send you email alerts for all kinds of things, including this person's now following you. And then now that they've followed me, Twitter gives me a little button there. You can see it says follow, and so I've got the option to follow them back. And so all I could do, all I need to do now is just click follow, 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 and then I'm following them as well as them following me. And I hope that's clear. Just to say, on following strategies, it's probably best to match the number of followers that you have to the number of people that you're following. The reason I say that is that let's assume that you are following more people than follow you. So you're following lots of people, but not many people are following you. That probably suggests that you're not saying very interesting things because very few people are following you. Conversely, if you have lots of followers but you're not following back, it says you're not very interested in what other people have got to say. Evenly matched, sort of. There's a kind of courtesy thing on Twitter, unless you're like a super famous celebrity of some sort, to follow each other. So you sort of follow each other back. And there's ways of filtering, which is probably for another session, if that becomes a bit unmanageable. There's no reason why you should follow everybody back. Here's somebody who followed me recently. She's called Danielle. I mean, she looks great, but I don't think she's particularly interested in my market research insights. And I think dodgy photo, sort of fairly dodgy description, fairly dodgy website address. The fact that she hasn't tweeted, she's following lots of people and she hasn't got very many followers, suggests it's a spam account. So all she's doing is just banging this thing out. There are lots of people in the hope that they'll click on that website address, clicked on it. Feel free to do so, I'd be interested what you think, but the likelihood is it's going to be being unsavory. So I've got some options here. It's when I see this, Twitter gives me these options. You see, I can follow her back. I've chosen not to. There's a little alert there. I can send her a diary. I don't think she'd respond to it. And then in this little headline, I can mention her, which means that I can tweet her. I can add her to a list, or I can block her. I can report her. Now, if you can be bothered, why not? Report her for spam. That's what that is. You can block her if you like. I mean, I don't think there's much need to people because unless you'll follow them, you're not going to see what they say. So if they want to follow you, let them follow you. It's an open network. I wouldn't bother keeping it private. If you've got sort of private things you want to say, Twitter probably isn't the place to say it. Other ways that you can follow people is you can follow a list. This guy, Paul Hutchings, at Kindle Research, has created a list. So if you go to his Twitter profile and click on lists there in the bottom left, you can see that he's created a list called Market Researchers, and then if you click, it gives you an option to subscribe to it, and then so you click on subscribe there, and in the right hand side you can see all these people who, the 250 sort of market research people that he's curated into this list. And if you subscribe to it, then what you've got there is the option to on Paul Incognito's site. Now that I've subscribed to it, I can see all of Paul Hutchings' market researchers that he's got there. It just gives you easy access to the list, and again, for a later session, probably one way of filtering the tweets of other people would be to create a list yourself. And you might want to create a list of, let's say, close friends, people you regularly do business with, clients you want to keep a track of, particularly interesting news services, so that what they say doesn't get lost in the sort of, river of nonsense that lots of other people are tweeting, and that you might be interested in. Just coming to the end now, I just want to say a couple of things about clients that you can use. Twitter clients are tools that enable you to read and tweet yourself without having to use twitter.com website. Now that it's got a new design, I think it looks quite good actually. It's a bit cleaner. It might be a bit more friendly, but tools, this TweetDeck, tools such as TweetDeck enable you to do, to do it differently, maybe to do it in a better way. What it does is it divides things up in columns. It enables me to have multiple Twitter accounts if you've got multiple Twitter accounts. But if you have a look at the columns there, the left-hand column says all friends. That left-hand column is everyone in my Twitter stream, everyone that I'm following. The stream in the right there, these are people who have mentioned my my name in a tweet. So I can see anybody who's mentioned me, and then I can, engage in a conversation. I've been talking to the ICG, Alison, Sarah, and Chris, who's a runner. The third column, I've got this market researchers list that I created. The 250 people who are in market research. I've got trending, and then I've got my direct messages that come through, and there's a conversation with my adolescent son who. Well, you don't want to go into the conversations we have on Twitter, rather puerile. And just finally, I think your mobile. So people who have Twitter on their mobile, and it needs to be a smartphone, say an iPhone or an Android-based one, or the latest Windows one. You can download an app, and then you can use Twitter on your phone. I use one called Seismic. The Twitter app itself, which comes actually, I think, as standard on a lot of phones, sort of smartphones now, is pretty good. These allow for some other bits and pieces, but probably the Twitter one's just good enough. And what you can see, these are screenshots from my phone. You can see how it looks. The one on the left there is, the timeline is the Twitter stream. It's everybody that I'm following, what they're saying. The one on my right, I've got again, the conversations I've been having with Sarah and Alison and Chris. And then there's sort of other functions in there as well. Twitter is good for Go, and so if you've got it on your phone. So that's all I wanted to say on setup on Twitter. Over to Alison in a sec, so you can take you through the sort of tweeting and some of those aspects. But for listening, appreciate it. Do follow me. Mention me, which means that we can have a conversation, or DM, which is, as I'm going to say, is that as we're having private conversations on Twitter, or free to drop me an email or give me a call. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Well done. I noticed that you found my Gabrielle Roberts account on Twitter. I'm sorry about that. Okay, we'll talk to Paul at the end of the session.